Greetings, everyone. DFG Gideon's Flight. Hey, guys, I just want to take a few minutes of your time. I stumbled across a particular YouTube platform, and I wanted to share with you guys, what I heard on that platform. It's 1 minute long, and typically I don't think I would even bothered to feel like this was important enough to bring forward, to this particular audience. But with the climate of hatred towards so-called black people, Hebrew Israelites, I felt that it was appropriate. And not only that, but this particular platform, and I'm gonna give you the name of the platform. It's called We Are Changed. So if you want to look, you can look. But I'm not going to give you the name and all of that stuff, and I'm not going to show you the video, but I'm going to let you listen to the audio of something that one of his content creators says. And I think it's dog whistling. Matter of fact, I know it's dog whistling. But when you hear it, you will formulate your own opinion, whether some of you may agree with me, and some, may see it a little bit differently. But I thought I would share it. And just one other thing before I share that audio. He's talking about New York City, and he's talking about how that Donald Trump is leaving New York City and called it again, using the word shithole city. That seems to be his favorite word. Africa was a shithole country, and I guess now New York is a shithole city. But he's talking about why Donald Trump is leaving, and he don't blame him for leaving. And you guys know how I feel about the politics in general, but especially as it relates to executive branches of politics. As far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump gonna move to Fuji Islands. I suspect if he lived there, nobody would probably miss him. I don't think anybody would know the difference whether he lived in Florida, New York, or again out of the country some damn where. But again, I digress. That's neither here nor there. But he's going on this whole big old dissertation around how bad New York is and how screwed up New York City is. And I suspect that it is. I personally don't like the city. No offense to anybody who may be listening from the New York area. But I don't like it because I think it's too congested. And then secondly, just so you know, I'm from the South. And where I'm from, people are hospitable. People are friendly. People, tend to notice each other. New York City is just the opposite. And so I don't like it. I don't have any type of bitterness towards New York or anybody in New York City. It's just that it's not a place for me. But this guy is talking about something totally different than things that I just stated. Again, we're not going to listen to all of that. And we're not going to listen too much more of me talking about him. But if he did not have over 500,000, with an M, if he did not have 609,000 approximately subscribers, and a video out there where he has one particular video has over 5 million views, and this guy travels all over the country, not just all over the world, not just all over the United States. So therefore, I think when he talks, people listen, and so since people are listening to what he's saying, I guess in some instances millions, and from a subscriber base, 600,000 over 500,000. Then I think that you have to, pay attention or take some attention to whether you're giving the crap about him. You have to you have to give credit to what credit is due in terms of, are people listening to him, and could he again be dog whistling messages, coded messages inside of his messages, and messages that would again create hostility, subliminal towards our people. Talking about, again, Hebrew Israelites, so-called Negro, copper color, African Americans here in America. Am I crazy accusing him of being a racist? I don't know him. So just like I don't know Katie Hill, who has the Iron Cross on her bikini line, who is a Democrat liberal from California, did not appear to have racist, alternatives. So, you never know. You just don't know. And we're not in a position to make assumptions right now, in my opinion, my people. That old saying, I'll use a better saying. Yeshua said, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. In other words, you don't oh, that looks like an apple tree, so it must be. I don't know. You wait till the apples come. When the apples start, producing on that tree, then you say that's an apple tree. Until you know 100% who it is you're dealing with, don't make any assumptions about whether they're your friend or they're racist or not racist. Because like wolves in sheep clothing, people will deceive you, and bigots most certainly will, deceive you. They'll be at your office, at your water fountain, having great conversation with you, and then go right back home and be talking about how those lazy niggas at work don't do their jobs. Oh yeah, it happens. So with that being said, again, I'm not calling him a racist because I don't know him. Could he be? You decide, I guess. But based off of this statement that he makes, I don't know. But he's very suspect to me, let me tell you. But I'll share this with you, and then I'll have a little bit more commentary, and then I'll let you get on with your busy days. Okay, guys? All right. It may sound a little loud because I did a video recently with King, Dr. King, and you couldn't hear it, so I got my Bose Bluetooth hooked up to this. So if it's too loud, just turn it down a little bit on your end, okay? I just want to make sure you hear it. Again, it's a minute. I'm probably going to replay it twice, but I want you to hear what he says, okay? In particular, how he says it.
That keeps fostering pain and suffering and hurt amongst everyone else. And what happens if you have children here? They're stuck in an indoctrination system that is utterly corrupt. I went to school here.
Talking about New York.
I didn't learn
Brooklyn.
Crap. I've seen a lot of violence.
So you didn't
I've
learn
seen stabbings.
crap.
I've seen shootings. There's a kid in my school that literally shot himself. I remember being there. I'm like, what? What was that big bang noise? Blood and all that. Anyway, and it's only getting worse from here, especially in the school system, where out of all the problems that the city's dealing with, out of every angle that they're sucking the blood and life and liberty and prosperity out of us, the way they fix that is by spending $23 million on a, quote, bias training in public schools, where they're telling the teachers that they have to focus and utilize their resources on either established or middle-class blacks over poor whites. Why? Shouldn't you give school limited resources to poor people based on their gender? Well, because of slavery. And this is all endorsed and pushed by the school.
Did you hear that? In case you didn't, I'm going to play this back one more time. All right? And the second time, I'm going to play it a little bit further out. But I want you to catch how he just dog whistles and subtly just sticks this in there. Why? Because of slavery. Or, blacks, being given preference over poor whites. And also, if you'll notice in the very beginning, he talks about he went to the public schools in New York and he didn't learn a damn thing. So if you went to public schools in New York and you didn't learn a damn thing, why do you give a damn about what poor whites are learning? See, that's why I'm saying there's more to it than what you hear. This is where critical thinking, cognitive thinking has to come into play. And again, I'm not dog whistling. I'm just telling you he's dog whistling. But again, let me see if I can take this right back to where we were. Let's see if I can get this right. I think I'm close to it. So again, about 1 minute, and then, we'll wrap this thing up with a little commentary. Okay, guys? Here you go. Now listen carefully.
And utilize their resources on either established or middle-class blacks over poor whites. Why? Shouldn't you give school limited resources to poor people based on their gender? Well, because of slavery. And this is all endorsed and pushed by the school commissioner here in this store, in this city. There's a gifted program, a talented program, just like many other schools, where kids who do really well in school are put in these specific programs. What's the city's proposal? What's the city's proposal to do with them? Well, they're saying that there's too many Asians and there's too many whites in these programs, and therefore we have to get rid of all of them. They're proposing that right now.
Now you hear that, right? So what you heard him say was that poor whites are being discriminated against. I don't know where you get the gender ass shit from, but poor whites are being discriminated against because of average blacks, all right? So it's the victims, you're going to victimize the victim, okay? So poor whites are being discriminated because of average blacks, right? And the reason why average blacks are getting the so-called advantage is because of slavery. That's how he connects that, because of slavery. And even if it has something to do with it, but with all this stuff, this guy does a 15-minute video. And in that 15, he talks about all kinds of things, traffic lights, bicycle license, you name it. But the only time he decided to identify ethnicity is when he used the word black or blacks. And then, as you heard in the second playing of the audio, how those blacks are being taken advantage of, those blacks are taking advantage of whites, as you heard him say, and Asians, as you heard him say. Classic dog whistling language. And again, you say, well, DFG, why you bring? Because this is, as I told you before, dog whistling is sending signals to others, coded signals to others, saying your real problem is this. See, what he's signaling, to all of his hundreds of thousands of subscribers, that blacks are the problem. And not all blacks are the problem. This whole thing with slavery, they really think somebody owed them something for slavery. We've all heard that I had nothing to do with slavery. I'm talking with them saying that, right? But we all know that they have benefited from the things that were gained from their ancestors due to slavery. They're still walking in those benefits today. That we all can attest to. So can they, most of them, those who are honest, or those of them who choose to be honest. But here's what my bigger point is that you're using this coded language, and again, you're victim shaming blacks, and what you're doing is provoking whites, poor whites, because typically when these race riots break out, that's where I'm going, it's typically the poor whites who are the vigilante groups who go out and attack, our people. Throughout their history, whenever this has happened, it has been the poor whites. They may be financed by the elitists, you know what I'm saying, the money changers. But at the end of the day, the Ku Klux Klan and all those little filthy, little, dirty, low-down, rotten, lice-infected devils, they were the poor ones. They were the poorest of the poor that were out there lynching and burning and bombing, churches, etc. So when you hear this kind of dog whistling, I just want to make sure you know that, as we talk about these things, as we bring this stuff to your attention, they can talk civil war and politics as much as they want. But ultimately, the target has always been, if you just use their behavior. And there's a quote, saying that says, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. So we can't forget their past. James Baldwin has a great statement. He says, I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. And so when you're listening to these little dog whistling and you hear these things that they say, if you choose to ignore them, then you can very well be victimized by them. Because again, with all the things this guy talked about in the 15-minute video, the only time he decided to talk about, he talked about immigrants and illegal people, but he didn't break down, where they were coming from. He didn't say they were Asians or Hondurans or Ecuadorians or Venezuelans or Haitians or, or Mexicans. He didn't say anything about it. He didn't break down any of those other ethnicities. Only time he decided to bring up ethnicity when he saw poor whites were taken advantage of. And what ethnic group did he single out? So-called African Americans. Blacks. So again, I say to you guys, beware, be careful. Do not take for granted that you're safe up on these streets, wherever you're going. We saw what happened with these police officers shooting, and going into these people, going in one home, killing a man, shooting into the other home, killing someone. All these things could very possibly be dog whistles as well. You see how we're going to react to that kind of hostility. See what the minorities are going to do. Because once you know what they're going to do, then you can plan on what you need to do strategically. Don't play checkers when they're playing chess. Beware. So, thank you for listening, guys. DFG, open your eyes. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.